Okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're doing another live show here today. I'd like to welcome you all to the show where we do some live talk and some music. That's right. Now, hang in there when it comes to the music. We're just getting started here when it comes to broadcasting over this channel. All right, so the music may not be all that great, but these guys try, and there might be they want to get their music out there, so I put a little bit of it. This is all YouTube music, so please do not tell me, oh, you have suffered a copyright disaster. We are now going to pull your channel in. Whoa, well, you don't want to know. No, this is your guys' channel, your guys' stuff. Already, I got the most lovely yellow thing you can see is that buffering. How can I have buffering, YouTube? How? But how? Please tell me how. Uh, I just started the broadcast. I even went out as far as resetting my what? It's out. It's dead. The broadcast is gone. Is it gone or is it on there? I don't know if it's gone. No, I think we're back. I don't know. Get on there and a big old yellow line comes across, slaps you across the face, says, "Wake up, you! We got buffering." Ha ha. And that's the end of that. So we don't got no. How can we have buffering? Look, YouTube, look. On my broadcast stuff, on my equipment that broadcasts out there to the entire world, it's saying, "Green man, knock yourself out." On your side stuff, it's the whole different ballgame. It's buffering. So I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm gonna continue to broadcast here, make believe. Maybe it's a glitch. I don't know whose side, but somebody's got a glitch somewhere. All right, let go of that glitch, man. Glitchy attack. So, what are we doing here today? We're having a talk show, and I'm gonna show you my format here because I'll play a little music and I'll be right back. I just let the little music. You know what? I forgot to grab something to drink here. No coffee, no nothing. What am I doing? Oh, I'll just put a little music here, and I'll be right back. Let you guys get comfortable, and maybe somebody will go and handle the crap out of this glitch. All right, I'll be right back. If I can get the music going, damn it! Put on the music, boy. Is the music out there, boy? There it is.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Afternoon, we lay awake in bed. The laugh so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop. Shout from the top, we're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild. Summer sky, it was the best we ever had.
Okay, we're back here again. We're back here again. Thank you guys for joining me here. We're doing, like I say, a live talk, and the format here is basically like the old radio time, where you have music, talk, and no commercials the last 12 hours, and then you forget what you're watching or listening to. None of that stuff. Not at the moment. So, but it's what we got here going. I pretty much talk about different things, so you also are welcome to ask questions. Ask what you want. Want to ask me, hey, what about my cat? What do you think about my cat? Is he going to survive the globalist meltdown? I don't know. The cats have 9 lives. Maybe the thing is lucky enough to survive. So we don't know quite here. I'm trying to turn off some stuff here to see if we can get a nice, crisp broadcast here without not too many buffering interruptions, and we can broadcast. So is your cat or pet going to survive the global meltdown? Okay, supposing there is a global apocalypse and the entire world just, you know, having a big old cow, I guess. Things are falling apart. Are your cats and dogs going to survive? You know, hunger can do strange things to people. So I want to tell you right now, there are places where hunger is running chaos, and there are places right now around the world. There's usually not a lot of pets around, so you're going to have to do the math on that. You're going to not like the outcome. There's no alchemy involved in that one. It's just things work out for the best for you who are hungry, and not good for the push or the puppy or whatever you want to call them. So it is what it is, people. We are, when things people get hungry, people turn into savage creatures. Uh, it's not to say it's bad. I'm not making fun. There are people out there who really have a lot of issues when it comes to, getting fed, and they are in an extremely tight situation. And unfortunately, if you have a family and you have goldfish in the pond, hey, it's going to be fish night. What can I say? It'll probably end up being fish night. At least for that night, you might end up getting some fish on your plate. All right, so look at it that way. You have to do what you can to survive. All right, and hopefully, your neighbors don't start looking good, to you later on. And I don't mean that from a different way. I'm looking at from, showering down on them. We don't go in that direction. But, some years ago, not many years ago, there was a program, a documentary. This is before all this internet and all this kind of good stuff came out. And it was a documentary was having to do with Notre Dame. I am Notre Dame, and I know what I'm talking about. Besides, I just speak about everything I like, and I tell you what it is, and you believe me or not. And this Notre Dame's character, who they say was a great prophet, so forth. There was, I don't know if it, not, wow. Now I don't know if it was Notre Dame or Edward Casey that said this. Poor Notre Dame. I just took a dump on him. Anyway, it was one of these guys that actually said that in the future there was going to be some devastating war. This is what they said. This is, I've actually taken the book of Notre Dame and I read some of Edward Casey's writings, and I couldn't find in what this documentary is talking about. But it said somewhere that there was a prediction that the war was going to blow up and people were going to eat one another. There you go. Now, that's kind of like a gimme, all right? If things get really into that doom state, when things blew up and everything got damaged and the whole world went, your neighbor, they weighs like around 600 pounds. I mean, you may get a cholesterol problem if you do decide to shower down on your neighbor. But it's, it's what it is. So hopefully it never goes that way. It's a horrible situation for the human race to find themselves in, when it goes that way. But there will be some people out there, there will be, their mindset is, we have to survive, no matter what. And this population that we have nowadays, mainly the you could say people in the West and countries who are also well advanced in other parts of Asia and Europe, whatever. Uh, they're not used to farming anything. They don't know how to grow a tomato or anything. They don't know anything. And then they're hungry. And when I can tell you, hunger can do strange things and can cause you to go berserk. People do not. I mean, hunger. Starving to death. It's a horrible way to go. It's your body basically eating you up from the inside, and it's a horrible thing. And I hope it never happens, but it does happen, and it happens every year to into the thousands of people. All right, people do end up starving. All right, and there are famines and places that we no longer even report in these places, but they're out there. It's a sad situation, but people in the West have never experienced famine or some kind of deep shortage of food and water are going to maybe try to find the easy way out. And this is where the situation is going to get kind of grave. And when it comes to pets and fish in your ponds, and then later on, who knows? Hopefully it never goes into that direction. That's a sad such thing. To see the human race head in that direction. So you should prepare. I think most people. I think the government, instead of wasting all this money that they're wasting on these wars overseas, with billions and billions and billions of dollars being sent to overseas wars, should start worrying about their own people. And it should be like a mandatory. It should be mandatory that a certain amount of food paid by the government, given to the people, that the people need to take it and store it in their homes. They should have a mandatory storage of 3 months, 4 months of food rations in their home. And you say, well, that's getting the government getting involved in people's life and dictating to them what they can. Well, here's the thing: it's better to do it that way, to make it mandatory, to tell people, look, we're going to give you all these dry food, these MREs. As somebody that didn't work with the Department of Defense, and I used to be overseas, and I had to sometimes eat MREs for whatever reason. I've gone through a couple of disasters at home where I had to live off of MREs for quite a while. I actually like them. A lot of people don't like them, but I like them. But here's the thing. It's best in places like Florida or in California, and places where you could have these natural disasters come, almost once a year, or you could say twice or whatever. You could prepare the people. You could say, well, we're going to give you so much dry food or MREs or in water. You're going to have it, and you're going to keep this as a storage in your home for try to have enough for like about 3 months. And your home could be anything. It could be your flat, your apartment, your house you live in, your trailer, whatever. But it's make it almost like a mandatory thing. And you have to encourage it, because that way, if something did go wrong, there was a hurricane or an earthquake or who knows what, we got hit by a meteor or who knows what, you'll have this stuff at home. And you're not out in the government, instead of going out there at the very last moment thinking about what they're going to do, because the government is an organization that's all bureaucratic. I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's what it is. Where it's all basically paperwork. What the government does is, after a natural disaster, they kind of prepare for it, but the real preparing for that disaster comes afterwards, you could say. And they have a meeting to then have another meeting. All right. So by the time it's all said and done, you have days go by before the government moves into action. There are people right now suffering after this one hurricane hit us last week. Up in different areas of our country. And people are desperate. When is our government going to show up? When are they going to show up and help us? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. You're gonna have to have some patience. You really gotta have patience because I've been through national disasters. You guys who are pressing the button for the buffering and taking it off and listening and pressing and listening and taking it off, stop already. Stop being a baby. All right. Let's listen to what I got to say. All right. Grow up, man. Just get out of that. Get out of your diapers and grow up and be a man and a woman, man. Stuff with the buffering, man. Look, you have to have patience. I've been through national disasters, and it's not a good thing to be with. You're in a national disasters. You already gone through the trauma of going through a hurricane or some horrible situation, and it's terrible. What do we got here? Skip Clear Scoppy Scoople. Did your voice change or Scoopy Scoppy? I don't know. That's from coming from from Overlord. They just got into my website here. I mean, to my chat room. I don't know. The voice is coming out as it coming out. I don't have the money right now to buy a multi-million-dollar microphone, and my system actually is my regular microphone is actually it's broken. It's I don't and then I don't have the funding right now to go and fix that thing. So for right now, I'm using a old cheapo old Michael made in China somewhere, and it is what it is. So what you hear is what you get. Not gonna lost track what I was talking about here. I was talking about the government getting involved and having patience. So I've been through major hurricanes, and what you got to do is you gotta have to have some for the least for the first anything between 24 hours to maybe 30 something hours or even 40 hours. You could say you're gonna have to have patience with the government. They prepare slowly, all right, to do things. They have a meeting to have a meeting to then have another meeting and maybe take a vacation somewhere in between. All right, but they will get things going. Once they get things going, things start rolling and food supplies start coming in and the rescues start coming in. But they will be slow to get going. They're basically like a train that has a lot of rail cars behind it, and it's a very long line of railroad cars, and it's going to take a long time. It takes a while for that train to get that traction to move down the line. All right, so that's basically what you have with government. I don't. There are many people in our U.S. government that really would like to extend help, or really would like to help people, but people are desperate. They want help like right after the hurricane went by, or right after the earthquake, or whatever natural disaster. They want that help now. So you can't blame them because some people who had their homes, if you're in a hurricane, you had your home destroyed and it got wiped out by by a flood or an earthquake where where your entire house has been destroyed. You may have lost all your supplies. So what do you do for what you can do? You need water, you need food, and all this other stuff. This is why I say preparing for this in advance for national disaster should be priority with the U.S. government instead of spending so much money on wars that we have no business being in. All right, and spend that money giving it to people to have at least 3 months prepared supplies. And it should be almost like a mandatory thing. You have to have these supplies. It will lighten the burden on the government, okay? Because even if your house got blown away, or a flood came and took out your house, or something horrible happened, a hurricane, whatever. If you had everybody, all your neighbors in your apartment complex, all your neighbors around your home or your trailer park had supplies, they could share some of those supplies with you, even though you might have lost your supplies, because everybody has to have the supplies. We make people have driver's license to go on the road. All right, we make people pay taxes. So it's not to say that the government cannot make you do something. They can make you do something. All right. So, but what's wrong with giving supplies and say, look, we decided that we're not going to spend $300 billion to send it to some war overseas. We're going to take that money and we're going to put it here at home, and we're going to put together a supply package for every individual American in the United States that will last them for 3 months. It will help them hang in there for 3 months. some kind of purize, something that purifies the water and food supply and all this. This will be very helpful for people, and I think that's what we need to do. All right. The government needs to and set up the government at the last moment, making all these meetings and then finding the National Guards, getting the right people, the MGOs, whatever, to go out there and help people. And this could be many hours after. And if you have babies, especially when you have a baby, this is a big problem because I know people. I've been through a Category 4 hurricane. I've been through several hurricanes. I live in Florida, and hurricane is part of your life. All right. And I've been through some of the biggest hurricanes that have been on record, you could say. I believe it was the highest category, that Category 5, because I'm no longer in Florida. I'm out in the wall now. But I've been through these hurricanes, and I've seen the horrors of the hurricanes when not like a horror like dead bodies and everything. No, I'm talking about the people who are getting these horrible panics. What are they going to do? Where are they going to get the food? Where are they going to? How are they going to feed their kids? They have no water. Their supplies got blown away, so they're in total panic. I remember going through a major hurricane. I was in Florida. It was one of the biggest hurricanes Florida had, and I remember that night. I was pretty much on my own. Now, I was doing some work which allowed me to be protected with the work that I was doing. I was armed and so on. I was protected, and I was also providing protection for other people. But that was you could say, and I did have some supplies, not a lot of supplies, but I had some supplies. All right, but other people's lost their stuff. Their homes got caved in, the roof fell in. They had their supplies were all either sometimes. What happened is people take advantage of other people's situation and they steal the supplies or whatever deal. So they found themselves in really dire strait. But with time, all right, given a little time, the government comes in. The government will eventually have the right people come in. It takes a while. If you ever see a convoy of aid heading to a city that just got hit by a hurricane, this can be huge. It's escorted by the state police. Many police open the roads for. They don't allow people on these roads that these convoys are coming in, and you have electrical trucks coming in by the thousands or whatever from different parts of the world. So it's going to get there, but it's going to have patience. That's why we need to have enough supplies sitting in our home for a couple of months. We have to have that. Our government can provide these kind of supplies for everybody. Everybody in the entire United States could have these kind of supplies already in position, in their hands, you could say, to use in case of emergency. All right. Now, there will be issues with supplies. Maybe some people will decide that they're going to be entrepreneurs and take the supplies that the government gave them and sell them. Okay. Or somebody decides that they didn't want to go shopping that day and they break open a couple MREs and they eat their MREs. So the day the hurricane shows up, voila, no supplies. Unless the government goes and makes some kind of container that only the government can open up by using some kind of satellite and sending some kind of signal to that container there, opens up a container which is basically bulletproof or whatever it is, and it allows you to eat your supplies. You'll never know. We can talk to DARPA all day long about this stuff and see if they come up with something. All right. So we got the overnight overlord. You saw like Darth Vader overlord. Out there asking questions. People should start creating their own water filter. Now, you can create a water filter if you know what you're doing. People should go always, if you're in a place like Florida or California where you have earthquakes, or in Seattle where you could have a volcano blow up in your face or something like that, you should once in a while check out some of these YouTube videos on how to create a water filter. How to survive an urban disaster, and I look at these videos just because I'm always interested in watching documentaries. I like documentaries, and I find them interesting. So you should watch. A lot of people should just look at these videos, and maybe even have some of these videos. Take down some of the information on some of these videos so you know what to do. Maybe there is no. You don't want to start fires inside of an apartment complex if you don't know what you're doing because you could set the whole place on fire. But if you're in a home, you can go out to your backyard and maybe have some materials, get some kind of fire going if you have no gas, no way to heat up anything, and this could help out. People with babies should always have a good supply of their what the babies use, whatever it be formulas, food, or whatever the deal is, in case something happens. The problem is people procrastinate. They wait to the last moment to get supplies. I'll be right back after this. I'm going to play a little music and I'm going to grab me some coffee. I'll be right back. Where's that music? Play it. Hang on, make it play the music here. Oops, wait a minute. Okay, it'll take probably a day and a half to get played here. I'll be right back. All right, we're back here again, and take off the music. So I'm back here again, and talking about hurricane situation preparedness and how the government should step in and really try to do something here. The government needs to get in and try to develop some kind of either putting supplies in your neighborhood in key areas that will allow people to get to them right away. Make an estimation how many people are in the neighborhood and have these little key small warehouses in everybody's neighborhood, no matter where you live in that part of the United States. And that way, people don't have to wait for the government to show up. They will have their supplies already at hand and have them in some kind of bunker. All right, that's what the supplies should be. Maybe in some kind of bunker that cannot be flooded. You cannot. Fire's going to destroy it. Hurricane's going to destroy it. And develop this kind of bunker, and put those kind of with the money we have sent out for these wars in the last couple of years. We could have done all this. We could have had key areas in the United States with these small bunkers, enough supplies, let's say for 50 or 100 people for that little for a community of some of the, for that dentist that area of the town or city, and it will just be for them. All right, that's their supplies, and everybody will have their own supplies, and it should be enough for people to use for maybe 3 months. And maybe always have a couple people who will be administrating that supply or giving it out. And people should not also be using supplies against other people. Like say, oh, because you were rude to me, I'm not giving you your supplies. No, that should be legal. This person needs to get their supply. They get their supplies, and that's the end of that. But something along those lines could probably work. We have to stop spending all this money we spend on these wars overseas because what is it getting the United States? Oh, it's getting us deeper into debt. All right, we have a lot of issues in the U.S. that we can use this money to fix. All right, such as like I said, these phenomenons going on with all these tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes, and all this kind of stuff. We could use that money for that. Now, some people out there are always, oh, the government has got a machine to make water. Well, I don't get into that because if I get into that, I may not last too long out here. If I get into that a little time, not right now, maybe later we can get into something like that. But there are things happening out there. They are very unusual, you could say, and sometimes they end up blaming the wrong conditions for the little situation. Now, I've seen that they were talking about today another hurricane or another tropical storm heading towards Florida, and it seems to be coming off the Yucatan Peninsula right off the Mexico there, and heading in a northeast direction. You go look up at the Weather Channel. You can look, check it out. But they say that could turn into like a Category 1 hurricane. But this is what they say about all storms. All right. If you think about it, almost every storm starts off as a Category 1. So well, that's kind of like a gimme, you know. A lot of times once it hits warm water, then that's when it's going to pick up that speed. And it gets close to the coast, and the water gets warmed up, and bing bang boom, there you go. You got the Category 1 blew up to a Category 4. So that's what happens. It just happens. So people in Florida, I lived in Florida for many years, and we're always constantly ready for some kind of hurricane. Where we are, we have our shutters or the glass window that can withstand so much hurricane force or all kind of stuff. And I've been through probably like around 4 hurricanes, and I've been through one major one and one quite big, and then 2 smaller ones. And it's never been a good thing. Either one's been too destructive, would destroy everything I had, and the other one flooded everything I had. So it can be really oppressing or depressing, whatever you want to call it, to go through this kind of natural disaster. All right, but you got to move on. You just can't give up and jump off a cliff. All right, your house got damaged, or or the area you're in got, it's all screwed up, and there's no power, and you got to do what you can to get by. So, and I will tell people, no matter what part of the United States you live in, if you have a natural disaster, more than likely you're going to have to wait for the government to get their act together to get out there to you to help you out. Now, there's some places out there like in Kansas, in the middle of the country, where they have a lot of tornadoes. A lot of the local police and National Guards are kind of always, like on alert, especially during the season where there's a lot of tornadoes, and they get there a little faster. But even with that, you still need help from the state there, and it takes sometimes a while to put that together. But one thing I have noticed, that when natural disasters happen, that the government's slow to move, slow to get things rolling, but eventually they'll get going. And there'll be enough pressure on them by their congressman, congresswoman, and enough pressure by the mayor and folks, yelling and screaming in their ears to get their rear ends up. It's time to go to work. You've been sitting in your cushy little government job for many years doing nothing. Now it's time to go to work. And eventually they get their act together, and they know if they don't, then they may find themselves a boot up their rear end, and they're out of government. So it's just the way it works, people. So we got joining us out here. Anybody else? You can always join us there on the chat room. Is there anybody else out there? You're welcome to join us in the. We just go out there to the chat room. This is a bit of a new program here, It's called Give Me Talk. I have experience broadcasting, so it's not my first rodeo out here when it comes to broadcasting. I've just been out of the game for a while, have been doing some other things, and decided, let me do a little broadcasting here, throw in some music. You're going to be hearing some music here once in a while, throw in some music, and we'll play some music. I'll let you go because I'll play some music now. And I'm just a little bit here so I can get a couple of drinks here from my soda that I put here. And I'll be right back right after this. Let's see if I get the music going here. Here, a second. Slow getting this music going. Yeah, it's kind of slow. Maybe it's today, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe no day. Or maybe it's just not going to work. Oh, there it is. All right, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, we're back here. We are back here again. Thank you guys for joining us. Always, you can follow the channel. This is a new channel, and it's hard when you're a new channel to break through the zillions of other people's channels out there who already are established and fighting for attention or views. This is the format, music and talk. Don't expect you're going to have a girl out here with big giant boobs swinging in your face, or some guy throwing a car off the Empire State Building. We don't have that kind of stuff here. I can't afford to do something like that. I hire the big boobs. So, so it is what it is, people. I talk about you come in here, you throw in a subject that you want to talk about. If I think it's not too controversial, I'll throw in my 2 cents in there and tell you what I think about it. We can ask questions, or you can talk to the people here on the chat room and ask them what's going on. Like I said, this is like second video that I have actually made on this channel. Please follow, pump this place up, pump it up, people. So we were talking about natural disasters. Is what's going on with. It's not only the U.S. gets natural disasters. India gets monsoon rain every year. A couple weeks ago, I was listening to one of these one of these national TV stations, And they were talking about the monsoon rains in India like they just discover sliced bread, like something new. No, it's not. It's been going on for thousands of years. I mean, come on. It's nothing new. But they try to twist it all around, making it sound like India's monsoon rain, okay, was a new phenomenon. Maybe the phenomenon was that they never had went to school. Oh, they never read anything about it. Maybe that is the phenomenon, but it was not a new phenomenon. Monsoon rain in India happened every year. That's what yearly. Villages get flooded, and next year, after that, things dry out, maybe a little bit too much, and this is the way it works in India. All right, so don't be telling me this is some kind of phenomenon. It's not. You know, there's rains all the time in these places, and India during the monsoon time. And a lot of times people will get killed during these monsoons. Believe it or not, there's a lot of hail that comes with a lot of these storms. And it's been known that many, many people have lost their life from hailstones, the lightning strikes, and all kind of things. It just happens during these monsoon seasons. All right, so it's not a new phenomenon. It just does happen. Hurricanes. We get hurricanes. We had a lot of hurricanes before the 1970s. There was a lot of hurricanes. It was very destructive. Okay, so there was a period. There's been of periods where there is a lot of hurricanes, and periods where there's a low on hurricanes. All right, and then it picks up again. You have a period of a lot of hurricanes. This is the way the entire globe works. All right, so don't be telling me, oh no. And this like the same thing with snow. There's periods when you have maybe you have a decade where you have a lot of snowfall, a lot of blizzards, and then you have a decade where you don't have that much snow and that many blizzards. It's just a cycle, is what it is. But there are the powers to be's out there trying to make something out of nothing and trying to fill in their pocket with something. So that's basically what it is. All right, so we got to keep an eye on that. Just worry for yourself, your family, and how you're going to handle these situations when they pop up. All right, if if you go buy a house. A lot of people make the mistake of going to buy a house, but never really think about if they're in a floodplain. You can buy a house in a zone that is basically flood zone, okay, and you'll get a house. Maybe it's the kind of place that it doesn't get flooded every year, or maybe every once in a while, but you can get houses in flood zones. Now, the real estate company selling you the house, or the owner should tell you that you are in an area that's prone to flooding. All right, so that's if you are kind of worried about hurricanes, flooding, all this. Why you went and bought a nice house in an area that floods easy? You're probably going to get double the flood in a hurricane or triple it. So try to buy in an area which is not that much prone to flooding. There's areas that actually look like they're okay to build a house, but the land itself does not absorb. It's not a good land to absorb water. All right, so and it was very easy. It's saturated with water, and it doesn't absorb any more water. You end up with floods. So you guys see what kind of land you're in. So when you go buy a house, you should wonder if you're buying a house in some area that has flooding issues. Same thing with the car. You should always inquire if you're going to buy a used car, if this is a car that comes from an area that was flooded, a car that was flooded, because over time that car's electronics could get corroded, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to fix it. I will not buy any car that's been flooded. I will not spend my money on that, okay, because it could cost you problems down the road. All right, there are some good techniques on how to tell if your car got flooded. If you go on some of the YouTube channels, there are some people there that can show you what are the signs to look for if a car got flooded. All right, and it's usually you look under the carpet to see if there's any rust or if something has been repainted. That's one way to tell if it's been flooded. There are other techniques to look at a car and tell if it's been flooded. You don't want to buy a flooded car, people. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good bargains out there. You'll see some nice looking cars after a hurricane that people put up for sale. And people sometimes are desperate to sell their cars, or they might have an extra car they want to sell because they need the money for to repair their house or whatever the deal is, because they've been through this major disaster. You're some Joe doesn't know anything about cars, and you may not buying one of these flooded cars. All right, because oh man, I'm getting a heck of a bargain on this car. Look at this. This is cheap, super cheap. But if it's cheap, it's a warning sign or a warning flag. Stay away from it. Yeah. So, but that's what it is, people. You got to be careful when you go shopping for houses or land. What is this land that you're buying? Is it prone to flooding? All right, if it is, buying land next to a river, you know, may not be the world's best idea. And you got to live with the idea that if the river overflows, or you're in an area where you could get hit by a hurricane, your house, if it's very close to that river, is going to get flooded. you know, so that's what you got to start thinking about. You know, now there's people, of course, you could live decades after decades with nothing happening. Maybe a couple close calls and nothing happens. Maybe one day comes one of those big, once in a lifetime storms, and you can see your house, then basically rolling down the river. Rolling down the river, and there it goes, and there goes your cousins and your aunt, whoever came to visit, down the house. You have to send out, the Coast Guard to go get them or something. But it's what it is. So you gotta be careful there, people, when you're gonna buy these houses. Make sure you look at your real estate. Make sure that when you do a contract with your realtor or whatever, that it says something about flooding, if it floods or it doesn't flood. And if you sign the contract, well, that's on you. But if the realtor tries to shank you, with not telling you that this house that you're buying is in a flood situation, then you should be aware. I always tell people, you're going to close on a deal with a house, you should take all your paperwork to the proper lawyer that's on your side, not on the realtor's side, something that you end up getting from your side. Check the paperwork, make sure everything is right. Because there's always that problem. They could have problems with the roof. You could have problem with the land you're in, and other things. So make sure they go through all the disclaimers and disclosures that they have to make before when they sell you a house. That you don't get yourself into something that you're going to end up in big trouble. So I hope you guys enjoy the show out here and give the thumbs up and the whole 9 yards. And like I said, I'm coming in and out with music. And right now I'm going to go right back out with a little bit of more music. I got to do something else with my music here. It's taking too long to come on when I tell it to come on. We're going to try here another one, and let me see what happens. And I guess I just keep jabbing away here until it starts. So it's basically a news channel, but this is not my first rodeo when it comes to broadcasting. I've done a lot of broadcasting in my life. So, but I hope you guys can follow the channel, give thumbs up, give likes. If you like the show, give a like. It doesn't hurt. I never heard of anybody paying, $45,000 for a like or something, basically it's free. Just give likes and follow the show. I'll come out. If the more likes and the more followers I get here, the more encouraged I am to come out here and make more shows. But I gotta know there's gonna be an audience out there. I'll do so many shows if it's not like big interest, nobody giving likes. So, hey, what the heck? Nobody wants the show. You see, I hit the button to play the music, and now I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting to see if it plays the music. So let me see what I can do. I'm gonna have to put together some kind of a list of music that YouTube has no problem with, that I'm not going to get 1,000,001 strikes, that can be broadcast. I can't do it right now because we're kind of still new here, but I'll put that together. Yes, still waiting to see if it actually starts, and it just doesn't start. I don't know what's going on with it. Well, we're gonna have to wait. Maybe one day it'll start back up. Play it again, Sam. I don't know what's going on with it. So that we have been talking today's topic has basically been uh, situation having to do with national disasters. All right, but national disasters, you know, hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes. We have always had these problems in the U.S. And once in a while, we have a volcano like the ones over there in Seattle. Boom, boom, just blow up, and all hell breaks loose. Hopefully, we'll never have a lot of these volcanoes. There are countries around the world that do have problems with volcanoes. I believe Iceland and other countries can have problems with volcanoes. All right, that's not been the situation for us. We do have our heat wave and our cold waves. This is on and off. You can go through the records all the way back to your grandfather's day, as long as they kept records, and you can see there's peak seasons for uh, for heat and cold, and just be careful what they try to make out of it. Sometimes it's just a bunch of baloney, is what it is. But it's there, and you know you do what you get. Now I put on this music, and it has not. Let me see if I can refresh the page here, and maybe the music will come on. I don't know what's going on with something weird with music, but I'll hopefully get these kinks straightened out, and maybe I can put my mixer back in line if I'm able to get the fix for it. It has a little problem that needs to be fixed on it, but that will probably come with time. I don't know. I'm gonna pick something here. I have no idea what this is. See if it plays. And it's still not playing. There's something wrong with the with I don't know with my internet here, where the music is doesn't want to play. So can't force it. There it is. All right, we'll let a little music there play. Let me go get something to drink here, and I'll let you with some of this music that sounds like you're in some kind of, I don't know. I just picked this out of a list that was there. Whatever you make, whatever out of it. Just don't go crazy. All right, I'll be back. Just give me a couple seconds here, a couple minutes, about a minute. I'll be right back, and we'll continue this talk on national disasters. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back here again. If I listen to more of this, my head's gonna blow up. So I'll try to get better music, hopefully down the road here. But I gotta be all, YouTube approved music. If you're not, then you have to go and. I used to be able. I used to a broadcast I did quite a while ago. I had like I said, this is not my first rodeo when it comes to broadcasting. I used to have a list of all music, but that was licensed music, and that's no longer under that. This channel has a whole brand new name, and I cannot use that for here. So, but as things work here, and we get more followers, more people listening to our show here, and we get a little donations here and there, we'll start advancing more on music. We'll get something better to play, and things will get better. And then maybe some sponsor will come down the road, and we'll put some sponsors and all this good stuff in there. I see that the Overlord, or Night Overlord, was asking a question. Something to do with air traffic controls, the pilots controlling something of helping people that are in need. Could be. Could be that the pilots are doing. You see, when a national disaster happens, a lot of times organizations, get in there and start helping. And I remember one of the biggest hurricanes I went through, which was top category hurricane, and it really did a lot of destructions. I went through that hurricane, and the first, like I said, you could say the first 24 hours, going out to almost like 48 hours, you could say, there was not much help coming from nowhere. All right, there was only the local police, and they were not doing much. They themselves had their homes destroyed, And I was in a major city when a major hurricane happened, and it wasn't good. It was not looking good. But as the government got out of their, meeting after meetings after meetings, and finally got on the road and started to bring in supplies, it was great. But then later on, the civilians, okay, they didn't wait for the government. They almost came in at the same time, or maybe even some of them even actually came before. All right, and they seen the situation, how bad it was, and they took their trucks and they filled it up with ice or baby formula or food or whatever. And they just headed down the road and took the food to people they needed. It is a situation. Let me tell you right now. And that's because my job did have to do with protecting. All right, and we'll leave it at that. All right, but it can be a dangerous situation for people delivering supplies to a natural disaster area. And I don't mean to scare people off, but I am going to warn you. You should be careful delivering supplies to a place that's just suffered a natural disaster and the police are thinned out. And people are hungry and people are desperate and people are panicking. They look like zombies walking around. You got to be very careful with this. Going with your truck or vehicle full of supplies into an area like that because you could have a mob basically just mob you to take your supplies. And people get into a panic because they feel like that's the only supplies they're going to get maybe in the next couple of days. And be careful. Be careful. I've seen people after a natural disaster, I'm talking about a major disaster, fighting over ice into a giant fist fight, over ice. Strangers beating the crap out of each other over ice. All right, people that were, those two people would have never gotten into a fight in a regular day. They would have never done anything to each other. But these people just went berserk. And I've seen people that nice families just blow up and all hell break loose. So you got to be very careful delivering supplies to natural disaster areas. Some areas, the people are they welcome you. The situation is very relaxed. And some areas, the people can be very hostile, and not because you brought the supplies, no, because they're after your supplies. They want to basically take it out of your hands before somebody else takes it out of your hand. So you gotta be careful with this. Be careful if you're carrying a weapon. You could have that taken away from you, maybe even used against you. Just gotta be careful with all this. All right. You should, if you're going to go into a city, keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on the situation. You should know the city or the town you're going to. If there are extreme bad neighborhoods are known for high crime, maybe you should stay out of that. It doesn't mean there could be neighborhoods with high crime, but still there could be some good people living there who are just surrounded by some of this high crime. They need food, they need water, they need stuff to live too. But you gotta do your math before you fill up your car, or your truck, or some trader you're gonna pull along to bring supplies to a city or a town or whatever, because there are situations that could develop. All right. And you can't blame some of these people. A lot of people have never gone to a natural disaster. They just don't, it just doesn't, has never happened in their life. And from one minute to the other, they're in this horrible situation with a natural disaster. Maybe their house got blown away, their food supply got blown away. They got no way to call their friends or their families to get out of the situation they're at. No vehicles are allowed to even, let's say, roam the streets because they're being stopped by the police because of all the emergency vehicles. All right, so it can turn into a cluster, you know what. All right, and you have to be aware of that. Therefore, at least you got to be able to try to have enough common sense and somehow survive those first 48 hours of this natural disaster. And you're going to be desperate, and you're going to be calling the government every horrible name in the book, and you're going to be blaming them for everything. That's the way it is. All right, but hopefully your government. And I noticed when I mention the word government, I get a big yellow line. I'm not saying something bad about the government. I'm actually saying something positive for the government. So let's not put the yellow line there for buffering. All right. Yeah. Um. There you go. So we're not playing games with that. What's this so fray about the government? Oh my God! Don't talk about the government out there. You talk about the government. Oh my God. Oh my God! The government's not your God. Who told you that government was your God? You know. I mean, people could be talking about anything they want. Um, but going back, I'm not talking bad about the government. I'm talking about it takes time for the government to get their wheels going. All right. And that's in every natural disaster. It's not because you had a hurricane. Oh, it only happens to us. No, it happens to everybody. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All right. The government doesn't have an. The government is using all their money to go help other people and other countries around the world with stuff that we should never be involved in. All that money should go into us having our nation prepared for any kind of natural disaster, or wars, or what, here at home. All right, stop spending money on stupidity. All right, all right. If somebody has a problem with their neighbor and they're in some other country, why should we go out there and help them out? Let them smoke the peace pipe and try to make peace. But supplying them with billions of dollars and your country's going to hay in a handbag. Come on, man, wake up. Use that money to help people over here. You know. And it's not that we turn a blind eye to other people who are having horrible crises. They need food and water in other parts of the world. No, we can help with that, but forget about buying arms and weapons. We should actually put that into some kind of a bill in the United States. The government will no longer supply any country around the world with guns, weapons, or ammunition or anything. Period. All right. Oh, we will supply you with food and water if you get into a situation. You have a problem with your neighbor, you figure it out. You straighten it out. All right? All right, so it should be something along those lines. All right, maybe that's all. It's got to stop. We can look at those problems that we have here in the U.S., and I've heard that some ridiculous offers have been made to some of the people from these disaster zones of the money they're going to get to help them out. Some of the stuff is just ridiculous. All right? So I'm not going to get too much into that, but you guys can go read up on it. I'm sure out there in the news, if you can find the one that's telling you the correct stuff that's going on with it. All right. So yeah, it's just kind of dumb. All right, but I say people in those areas, give it a little time, hang in there. I know some people don't even have time. There's people that have medical conditions and they have crisis because when you have a medical condition, you may not be able to wait to get your insulin or your pill or whatever you have. You may have some kind of medical condition. That's why you are warned over and over and over that if you have a medical condition and there's a category 4 or whatever, huge hurricane heading in your way, you should prepare in advance. Have enough supplies. Some people just don't have the money. Maybe there are people out there, they're living, from their Medicaid check or whatever, from one minute to the other, and they just really don't have backup medication. They don't have the money for or they don't have, the money for the meds that they want, and they cannot keep enough supplies in their homes for some condition like that, and they're just winging it as they get as a natural disaster happens, hoping for the best, and it doesn't work. I know people and natural disasters that those people had medical conditions and they didn't get no medical help for quite a long time, and some of them were extremely desperate and got themselves extremely ill because they were not prepared so they just didn't have the medical equipment. And also having medical first aid and equipment. A lot of people, believe it or not, get hurt after a natural disaster. All right? It just happens. People start cutting down tree. They have a tree that fell on top of their house, or they started to cut down a limb, and the limb falls on top of their head and kills them. All right? So a lot of people get killed, injured, and all kind of stuff happens after a natural. That could be a hurricane, could be a tornado, it could be an earthquake. People can get hurt after a natural disaster that try to play maintenance or go out there and don't have patience for things and try to fix things on their own. All right. So you gotta be very careful when you're out there with your chainsaw or your equipment. You should know how to use your equipment. You shouldn't try to, if you never have used a chainsaw in your life, at least try to find somebody who could teach you or give you a couple of lessons on how to use the chainsaw before you use one. Some people don't realize that a chainsaw can kick back and slice your head in half. All right. Depending on what you're cutting, you can hit a nail, you can hit, who knows what the heck. You can break the chain. That chain comes wrapping on you and wraps around your neck. Things could happen. There's people out there there are these drills out there you can use to make drills, and people think that there are drills out there that have a torque that can rip your arm off if you don't know what you're dealing with. All right, and hammers and all kind of stuff, sledgehammers, and it's just, you're not familiar with these kind of tools. Don't think you're going to go out, and be the tool guy, overnight. You're going to have to get familiar. You should be familiarized with your tools that you have, and if you live out in some kind of homestead or some kind of a home out there in the middle of nowhere, but you've been pretty much paying everybody around to do your lawn and keep your house fixed, but you have a lot of trees around you, you should learn how to cut a tree in case you're out there, something happens, and you're left out there, you and your wife and your kids or whatever. You had to cut a tree because it fell on top of your house. You should know how to use a chainsaw or use some equipment to move it or whatever the deal is. Because at any moment something like that could happen. You should also be aware of electricity. A lot of times, the power companies will cut electricity, all right, before the hurricane hits. All right, they'll just cut off the electricity. They just cut it off. It's too dangerous to allow it to run, so they end up cutting off the electricity or gas, and gas if it's running too. All right, but still, you never know. There may be some area where they didn't get in time to it, the power's still on, and you could go over there and really get injured or killed on top of a power, and something that's running power. All right, so you got to be careful with that. And water, be careful. That's one thing that's very important. We can live without food for a while, but without water, you have a limited time to live. There's only a day or two. you can, depending on how hydrated or dehydrated you are, water can become an issue extremely fast. All right, I mean, a hurricane is heading in your direction, and the hurricanes. There's something kind of good about hurricanes. They kind of give you time to prepare. All right. Now, yeah, a hurricane could develop right there on the coast, and whammo is in top of you in a couple hours. You don't have almost no time. But it's very rare. Most of the time, you'll have a heads up on a hurricane when it's heading in your direction. All right. Tornadoes are not in that way for the most part. Tornadoes can appear and disappear in a matter of minutes. You can say wham bang, and your house is gone, and everything got blown to the other side. Earthquakes, same thing. Earthquakes can come and go, and before you know everything, your house got wiped out. All right. But if you live like an earthquake-prone area, you don't know when an earthquake is going to hit. You should have a couple of gallons of water in your side, at least a couple of gallons of water inside your refrigerator or in some corner of the house. And you should, once in a while, empty out that water, clean the water jug, and refill it with water to ensure that the water is still, because you don't want water. You don't want water to start getting green or bad inside these jugs. If you're going to have any kind of water, keep it away from sunlight or bright lights. Keep it inside a closet or something like that, because it can last longer. You don't have to change it. But that's one thing. Yeah, you have to have water. There's pure pills that kind of purify the water out there that you can get them at survival stores and places like that. Hunting stores, they have these little pills you can put in water, and you can purify it. But water sitting in jugs and stuff like that, it holds for a while, but you should have some kind of supply of water. All right, and especially people living in apartments. All right, people in apartments are probably the ones who are worse off than everybody else. All right, because you might be living in some kind of apartment up in the fourth or fifth or sixth floor, and once the power goes out, there are no more elevators. You got to go up and down from that apartment. Water that's being pumped to you, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of cities do not have the pressure needed to pump water up to the sixth or seventh floor, eighth floor, and they depend on the pumps that the apartments have to pump that water up. All right. If power goes out and there's no electricity to those pumps, you're getting no water. So there's no water going to reach you. All right. So that becomes an issue. And if you're living up on the eighth floor of some apartment complex and there's no water you can get, you have to go downstairs or somewhere where you can get buckets of water and take them up and have your water for your apartment. Well, that's another thing you gotta figure that out. Sometimes I tell people if you're gonna live in an apartment complex, you may not want to live something beyond the first, or, I mean, the second or third floor. I don't like to live on the first floor when I live in an apartment complex because of security issues. It makes it easier for a burglar trying to get in or something like that to break your sliding glass door or one of your windows. But once you live on the third floor, they have to climb up, and it makes it more noticeable for neighbors to see them. So they usually try to avoid that. But if you get it too high, if you're up too high, you're on the eighth or ninth floor in an apartment complex, just got hit by a hurricane, your power went out, you're more than likely not going to have any water. You're not going to have no elevator. There's going to be no power unless the apartment complex has some kind of generator or backup for all that. And a lot of these apartment complexes don't waste the money on them. Maybe some luxury apartments might waste money, but for most cases they don't. So you climb, you have to go down there, grab your water, your food, and take it all the way back up to your apartment. And it really becomes a pain, especially at nighttime. If you have to come down at nighttime, there's no stairs in the light. A lot of the emergency lights on stairs, they run by batteries. These exit lights that you might see in the stairs, but that only lasts so long before there's no more lights. The batteries run out and everything turns dark. It just goes black. You got to be careful. If you live out there in the boonies and you're out there in some home, you know, things got screwed up in your area. The local police is too busy in the city or the town rescuing people. You're out. You're on your own. You should have some kind of protection. You should have some kind. I will say, be armed. Know how to use your armament. Know how to stay safe. Hopefully, have a dog or two. Don't try to attract attention with your supplies going outside and having a giant barbecue with all your supplies and telling all your neighbors how much food you have. You don't know how long this problem. Now you should never put any kind of barbecue inside your home because you're probably going to end up killed, carbon dioxide or something. It's going to kill you. Now, don't put anything like that inside. You put them outside. If you're going to burn carbon or anything like that, croquettes, whatever those, do it outside. Don't do it. Never put that stuff inside the house. Never put a generator. If anybody's, I've been, because of my jobs that I have, I've always been around very close to generators because I've done work with the Department of Defense overseas, and I've been in very desert conditions and giant generators running all the lights, and you can smell that diesel or gasoline and that stuff. You never want to put that in some close environment. You're going to get yourself killed. All right. So, and here's one thing I always remember about natural disasters. I will remember the sound of natural disasters possibly more than the pictures because it's a horrible sound when you're in some major city or urban area, you could say, and there could be hundreds of people all running these generators. All right. For the first couple of days, you'll hear a lot of generators. Later on, it begins to die out. Why? Because people run out of gasoline. Or diesel, whatever they run. So as the generators die out, you kind of take a break from it. But then, the government comes in with their Black Hawk helicopters and their emergency vehicles and their own generators, and the sound goes back up. It can go back up. All right. So, but the first 20, you can say anything from 24 hours to 48 hours out, it's always a hard condition in a major hurricane situation. If you can make it through the first 48 hours and hopefully people start coming in, electric companies start coming in, people start bringing in some food, you can make it. All right, hopefully you can make it. Now, it's a different issue if you go to somewhere like a nuclear war. Now we're talking a whole different ball game. Basically, we're comparing a baseball game to a football game. That's what you're comparing it. All right. Oh, the yellow's back. The yellow's back. Did I say something wrong? I said nuclear war. I shouldn't have said nuclear war. That triggered the AI to send in the buffering. Uh, no, AI, calm down. I'm talking about preparing for a nuclear war, so take out the buffering. No need to have buffering there. All right. So, what do you do for a situation where you may have a nuclear war? All right. How do you prepare for this? Well, let me try to run some music here and I'll try to come back. Hopefully, I'll get something better that sounds better this time around. And I'll play this. Hang on a second here as I look for something here to play. Something bright. We'll just apply that. Let's see what plays here. We'll play something here. Hopefully it'll be on today. This is short music.
Why, oh 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 why, why, oh 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 why.
I'm beginning to know. I'm beginning to ask myself, why did I play it? I hear you laughing over there, Overlord. Well, if I thought my brain was going to blow up last time, okay, now that we listen to why, oh why, oh why, oh why, I guess the person that wrote that song was just having a weird day and just needed to get some answers. All right. So going back now, I'm gonna mention that word. We're gonna test the system, see how good AI is here. Quiet. AI. Ready? I'm gonna mention the word, and we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna test the system. Nuclear war, 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 war. Nuclear war. Nuclear war. No yellow bars so far. They're thinking about it. Should we or should we not? Put the buffering. But anyway, so far, no yellow bar. Maybe AI went back to the bar and is drinking over there. Decided to leave me alone and continue what I'm going to talk about nuclear war, which is what I'm going to talk about. Nuclear war is just how to... Ah! It's back. The yellow bar is back. I thought AI was going to give me a break on that. No. They stuck the buffering back. I didn't get a break back on it. Okay. I'll say NW. All right. NW. Everybody will know what NW is from now on. Let's see if AI can clear my buffering now that I'm not talking about NW. I'm BNW 65, 64 BNW. There should be a song like that. So, I'm being punished because I mentioned an I. So, the buffering continues here. And let's see when it clears up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to think AI, and I'm going to play that song back, Why Oh Why, during the buffering. So we'll be right back.
Oh why, 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 oh. Oh why, 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 why, oh 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 why.
Unfortunately, AI seems not to like the song asking why oh why oh why, so, because the buffering big yellow line is still there. I mentioned NW maybe once too much and too boldly. They've heard it. They just went out there and filled the stage with wow NW. So, if you guys can still listen to me through the storm of buffering, I will continue this. And don't mention that word again. That could trigger another storm of the great buffering gods. And oh, it cleared. There you go. All right. Should we test it again? Please, let's take a vote. Let's take a vote. If every time we mention NW, if you know what I mean, we get a yellow bar. Buffering. Want to take a vote? Want me to test it out again? Let me know. Take a vote on it, people. But for now, we'll just say NW. Wink, wink, if you know what I mean. All right. So, going back to this. NW. If there is an NW, and I don't mean an NW, what's that? There was a place that used to place, make great root beer and hamburgers. What's it? A and W. Oh man, I love that place. And oh, I may have said something that triggered the AI. No yellow line yet. They are thinking about it. They are wondering where I'm going to go with the AW. Oh, A and W. There was a place that had root beer and these massive hamburgers and fries. Oh, it must have been the maybe AI does maybe the AI is a vegan. All right, because the yellow bar is back. Maybe he doesn't like me talking about hamburgers or root beer. Oh, how dare me talk about root B? You know, root B. The B stands for the beer. Maybe that's what has triggered the AI buffering storm. All right. Oh, it's gone. Okay, we're back again. So we're back here again. Looks like AI has. What the heck, AI? Give me a chance to talk here. I will not mention the B again, and I will not mention the NW and regular words. We have to now do like the old Soviet Union. We talk in codes. That's what we gotta talk in. All right. Going to this. Okay. I'll have to say this to the AI. AI, this song is dedicated to you. All right. Overlord has to go into work. He has to go earn a paycheck. All right, Overlord. I don't know if you're still out there. Yeah, go out there, go get your paycheck, and go may good things happen over there in your job, and all be safe. I myself am going to go bye-bye. I've been here almost an hour, and we've been getting some traffic that pops in their heads and pops back out. All right. So that happens in new channels where people are just curious to see what's on there. They have an attention span of like half a second. So you just listen for like half a second and they pop back up. So anyway, if you guys sometime in the near future or far future come across this video, make sure you listen to it. Some good information. I was going to go talk about